Hey everybody, it's Sarah the Urban Farm Gal and welcome to week 2 of our CSA adventure this season. Today's dinner is going to be a savory bread pudding using a lot of the ingredients that we got with the CSA share today. So we got baby kale and we got basil. So we're going to use both of those in the bread pudding tonight. I'm going to combine it with some asparagus and some cremini mushrooms since I'm sorry, we didn't get the morels today. I'm going to try again next week, but they may be done for this season. We'll see. But fingers crossed, week 3 we'll have the morels. We'll see what we can do. So this is a really simple recipe. I did a lot of the prep work beforehand, but honestly, it only took maybe 20 minutes to do all of this prep work. Maybe 25. 30 if you're really slow, but it's fast. I took a big handful of the baby kale, washed it in my salad spinner, and then chopped it up really finely. So it's like really fine little pieces of baby kale. I also had a little bit of arugula that I wanted to throw in here, so I've got a lot of greens in here. They're going to cook down, so don't worry. If you don't want a lot of greens in your bread pudding, then you don't have to use them. But I would say in total there's probably like 6 cups of greens in here. But you know, they're kind of fluffy once you cut them up and throw them in here. They have a lot of loft, so it may look like a ton of greens. In all reality, it's really not that many. And to this, we're going to add, this is 6 eggs. Some of these were on the small size, so if you have large eggs, you might want to dial it back and maybe only do 4 or 5. Kind of a preference of whether you really like your bread pudding eggy or not so eggy, sorta, I guess, maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and dump the eggs in here, and then I'm gonna add some seasonings. So I've got in my little cup here a teaspoon of salt, I have a teaspoon of onion powder, and I have a ½ teaspoon of smoked paprika just because I like just about anything smoked. So it's going in here. There's also maybe a ¼ teaspoon of ground black pepper somewhere along there, added to taste. And then the basil. So this was the entire shares worth of basil. If you don't want to use that much basil, just adjust it however you want, but I love me some basil, so it's all going in. Every single last scrap of it is going in here. So I had some decent sized cremini mushrooms that were like 2 to 3 inches in diameter. I think I had 5 that I chopped up, so we're talking maybe 2 to 3 cups of mushrooms. You don't have to use mushrooms. I know some of you don't like mushrooms, and we're actually quite pleased that we didn't have morels today, and the rest of the members are hating you right now. You could use carrots. You could throw some sausage in here if you wanted to add some meat or some chopped chicken or anything like that. So the nice thing about bread puddings like this is it's really versatile, and you can just add and swap and subtract ingredients at will. And I had a little bit of asparagus left over. I went ahead and just cooked this for a few minutes in the skillet in a little bit of olive oil, and I put just a smidgen of salt on it. And I probably wouldn't normally use mozzarella cheese. It's just what I have. Probably I would use like a feta or maybe a goat cheese. I do have a little feta cheese, but I'm actually saving it for something else, so I didn't want to dip into my stash, if you know what I mean. I'm going to take 2 decent handfuls of mozzarella to stir into the bread pudding, and then the rest of it I'm going to sprinkle on top. And then my bread cubes. So there's probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 cups worth of bread cubes in here. So this is just a leftover Italian focaccia bread that I got at the grocery store last week, and I didn't eat them. So before they went moldy and I would have to relegate to giving them to the chickens, I thought, well gosh, I'm just gonna chop them up and I'll make bread pudding with them, and I think it'll be really good. So I'm just kind of stirring everything together. Ooh, it smells really good. And so I have 2 cups of milk that I'm going to add to this. I'm going to let it sit for just a minute and kind of stir it all together and let the milk and the egg absorb into the bread cubes, and then we're going to transfer it to a dish to put in the oven. And then you're done for ½ an hour, 45 minutes. So you can go color in your adult coloring book. You can go watch a TV show. You can go help your kids with their homework. can go weed in the garden. You can go sit on the back deck and read a chapter in your book. Go for a hike. Oven's done. So I would just say right now, this is not going to be like your traditional bread pudding where it's really dense and really moist in the center. This is going to be a lot different than that. This is going to be more like a bread casserole, I guess, with all of your veggies and stuff in there. The egg will help bind some of it together, but it's not going to be that really dense bread pudding style that you might be familiar with if you've had like a raisin bread pudding or something like that. This is non-traditional. Pretty much everything I do is non-traditional. So I let this sit for just a minute or two. It's absorbed all of the egg and the milk, and so there's a little bit left in there. That's okay. It'll bake up into a little custard. So next order of business, just gonna throw a little bit of oil in my baking dish. Now I'm using a shallow, wide dish because I like my bread pudding to be a little crunchy on top, to get kind of that crusty, almost crouton-like toastiness to it. If you prefer your bread pudding to be a little more like a traditional bread pudding where it's really dense and moist in the middle, then you can use a smaller container that's deeper, pile it all on top, and then smash it down, and that will help kind of keep things together in like a little mold almost. But I'm going to put mine into this shallow dish. All right, and then I'm going to use the back of my spoon. I'm going to kind of spread it around. So as you can see, this pretty much filled up a 9 by 13 dish. And I'm going to kind of press everything down. And because the bread has soaked up all of the milk and egg moisture, it's going to kind of stay in place. We're going to put this in the oven for 30 minutes. We'll check on it, see how it's doing. You just want the egg to cook well. That's really the only concern that we have here in terms of getting it to a proper temperature. And if 30 minutes isn't long enough, we'll stick it back in longer. And I almost forgot the rest of the cheese. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle this cheese on top. Now she's ready to go in the oven for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. 30 minutes later, and you know what I'm going to do? Just going to dig right in with my fork right in the dish. Here goes nothing. I'm going to take a little bite first. Asparagus. Oh, yum. Rest of us. A+, not too much basil. Go ahead, use all your basil. That was easy, and I was able to take Maybelle for a walk. One more bite. I'm looking forward to this for dinner tonight. Okay, that's it. Super simple, really tasty. Good way to use up a good chunk of your share this week. Next week, I will not be at the CSA, so I'm going to try to order morels again. We'll see if we can get them. So no CSA pickup for me, which also means no video for you. Stay tuned to Monday night. Check Facebook and our website, and we will let you know what we're getting next Tuesday. Okay, till then, if you make this, let me know how it tastes. Ciao.